This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Sara Barron
Hello.
is with us this morning. More of her in a minute. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning, Frank. Good morning, Emily.
Sarah's already changed my life.
Oh, my God.
That's great.
How long have I been working here, Frank?
12, I'm going to ask the producer.
Has it been that long?
13 years.
Yeah. Get less for murder. You have
Max
just
Bygraves did that joke with me years ago. But he'd been married something like 42 years, and he said, even the great train robbers didn't get there. I remember that was his thing. I laughed, even though I'd seen it 18 times on video clips. Sorry, carry on.
19 now. Sarah's just pointed out to me something. It's an absolute game changer. I didn't know that we have computers here. Apparently, they're touch screen.
There might not have been touchscreen in the early days, though, when we started here.
I've been using a mouse.
I think they were word processors when we started the show.
Amstrad.
Yeah, exactly. Great news, though.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah.
As you may
Pleasure.
Any regular readers will know, but Sarah may not. I don't actually have my screen switched on because I can't cope with criticism of any kind.
I completely understand,
Yes,
Frank.
so I'm sorry if you have to deal with any. If you deal with any on my behalf, just keep it to yourself. That's all I'm saying. So on the way... I can't remember what the context was, but I said something. I referred to you, Sarah, and I said Sarah B. And then I thought, no, I can't say Sarah B because the producer is Sarah Bishop, so that gains me nothing.
Okay.
And then,
All right.
I'm going to ask you a question, Sarah. Are you aware of the phenomenon of nominative determinism?
I feel like it means when you suddenly have an awareness of something and then it pops up everywhere, or is it about you behaving a certain way because of your name?
That's what it is,
Okay,
yeah.
fine,
So,
I found it.
So people, I like that first one. That's an interesting phenomenon as well. But, it's that your name has an effect on what you do in your life. Now, I was thinking Sarah B, and then started thinking about the whole team. And I thought about Faye Lawrence, who is the assistant producer. And I thought you wouldn't say Sarah B, you'd say Faye L. And then I thought, oh, that's Faye L. That's fail. Now, if you take nominative determinism, you don't want to be called fail.
No.
So I'm not going to use that one.
No, please don't.
But if she does fail now, I think there'll be a tribunal in 20 years' time saying that it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't made her aware of it.
She only has you to blame.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I've decided this is your jingle for the day, Sarah. See what you think.
Is that? It feels so obnoxious in a way to say, "Tell me why you chose it for me, Frank."
Well, do you like it, first of all, in an abstract way?
In an abstract way, because it felt newsy, it felt professional, it felt informed.
Well,
I am none of those things.
It's from, you know you are. It's from a TV show in the 70s called The Baron. Which starred a man called Steve Forrest, who was one of those white guys who starred in TV shows in the 70s, who might have been a detective, might have been a private agent, might have just been a rich guy.
Okay. Swanning around.
Exactly. So, anyway, it's great to have you on.
It's great to be here.
And people will know Sarah from, stuff. I'm trying to think of
Will they, though?
Yeah.
I mean, they
Mock the Week. You've done Mock the Week.
I haven't done Mock the Week.
Oh, I can't
But that was a good
believe I
shout.
brought up something you haven't
No, it was
done. That's the worst thing.
fantastic.
You
And
should have. But much.
I was on Would I Lie to You?
Oh, that's bigger than Mock the Week.
I didn't want to say.
Well,
Didn't want to say.
were you a good liar?
Yeah, I'm a fantastic liar. Do you consider yourself to be a good liar?
No, I'm a very bad
Why do you
liar.
think that is?
I think it might be the Catholic thing.
Oh, that's interesting.
I start to crumble mid-sentence.
And do you have a guilt that comes with it?
I don't call it guilt, I call it conscience.
Oh, interesting.
He likes to call it conscience.
Have you ever been caught out in a lie as an adult?
I don't. This sounds weird, but I don't really lie.
Don't
No, he doesn't lie.
So, which means this is why I've got no friends.
Yeah.
Because when people say, do you want to come round tomorrow? And I say, no, I don't want to. I don't say, no, I've got and then make something up. I just say, no, I don't want to come. It's not a thing I want to do. And then I don't hear from them again. Just saying.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
I went to Auchinleck at the weekend.
I will need to be told, despite living here almost a decade, exactly where that is located.
I'll be honest with you, there aren't that many people, I think, who would know where it was.
Oh, okay, fine. So that's not just me.
I'll guess.
It's in Ayrshire.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is that Scotland, isn't it?
It is.
Okay.
And it's a long train journey and changes and all that. But anyway, I'd started the show today, for those of you listening on the Decade channels, with Chaise Long by Wet Leg. On the chaise long, on the chaise. And so I was on the train from Carlisle to Auchinleck, and it was one of these there was 6 people on the train, all over 70.
First class?
No,
Always.
there is no first class from Carlisle to Auchinleck, yes.
What the?
Frank,
Yes.
how did you fare?
You know what? Sometimes it's a bit like when George Orwell wrote Down and Out in London and Paris. I live amongst them and they have no idea. I'm just frantically making notes. So anyway, it was, and then about 8 women got on together in a real sort of way like that. And they had, I could see from where I could see 2 people staring in, because they were loud talking, and then they got the music out and they played On the Chaise Long, on over and over, singing along with it. And to be honest, it was brilliant. It really, they sung quite beautifully.
Oh.
And I really liked it, but I could feel a lot of hate in the room. And the train went to Glasgow, so I thought obviously they're going to Glasgow for a crazy night out. They all got out at Dumfries. Who knew?
Who did?
Party town. Anyway, it made me think, I don't know about if you're aware of this. You must be if you use public transport.
I'll bat out of this.
It's okay.
I'm ready to step right in because I'm never not on a train.
It used to be a headphones thing, didn't it? Up until about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And now people just play their music out loud.
It's their world and we're just living in it.
Exactly.
Is the attitude.
And I'm thinking it might be time for the old ghetto blaster to come back. Oh. Do you remember those babies? In case you're young.
Yeah, people carried them on their shoulder.
Yeah.
On their shoulder handbag.
Massive. What were they? Were they cassettes?
Yeah. This is so interesting to me because in a way that I fear is quite ethnocentric. I thought that was quite a sort of like New York, like a very American, specifically kind of East Coast visual and thing. And you're telling me that the ghetto blaster, which feels bad coming out of my mouth as a phrase,
right?
Permeated British culture as well.
Absolutely,
Fantastic.
In Birmingham, there'd be loads of people wandering about with these giant. Yeah.
And you think bring it back?
Well, I think if it came back now, of course, it would have to be on wheels.
Yeah.
Because people don't carry anything over the weight of a set of car keys now. I think in the future, people will look back on the early 20th century. They'll look back on carrying the way we look back on jousting. It's something that people used to do in the olden days. Oh, and you used to carry your suitcase. Ha ha! Look at this picture of a guy carrying. That's what it's going to be like. And the ghetto blaster too heavy for them.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So I went to, while I was in Ayrshire, I went to Brig o Dún.
Oh yes.
As in the musical?
Well,
Brigadoon.
the musical is, I think, named after it.
You're talking about the original.
It means bridge over the dune, basically. So it's a bridge. But it's Robert Burns wrote a poem called Tam O'Shanter about a drunken bloke who gets chased by witches, and they chase him over Brigadoon. Well, they don't chase him because they can't cross water, obviously, as witches can't.
Classic witches.
Yeah, but he gets over there. So I was really excited to be there, and you can see the Burns Monument from there. And I'd been to the Birthplace Museum that morning. I felt so Burnsy. Like I was in a Burns unit in my head. I felt completely Burnsed. And I'm there just soaking it up and thinking about, remembering the poem, and brilliant. And a guy came up to me and said, I'm a singer-songwriter.
Oh, was it 1974?
No. We were both, it was, didn't I mention that? It always is, apparently, in Ayrshire. No. And perfectly politely and everything. And I said, oh, great. And he said, I'll play you a track.
Oh, no.
So,
no.
And I thought, I'm sort of fine with it. I just wish I weren't on Brigadoon having my moment. So he played a track, and it was, I said to him, well, it's like a proper song with, you got a proper voice. And
1 to 10. 1 to 10.
Well,
Yeah.
It was. I was still.
He's evading it.
No.
Yeah. Are you concerned he's listening? He might be.
He might be listening. Yeah. But it's not just that. I think
Sorry,
it was.
Minister, one more question. What style of music, what genre?
Don't you feel there's only one genre if someone comes up to you and says, I'm a singer-songwriter?
Yeah, it was what
We
I
know
call,
what it is, Emily.
It's
was
what I
that
call
thing.
It's singer-songwriter
Yeah, it's
music.
singer-songwriter music.
Yeah, you know that stuff. And it was absolutely. I wouldn't have known it wasn't a professional song. It wasn't like
Okay.
It was fine.
It was fine.
And I said, I said it sounds like a proper song, with a proper singer.
That's a nice compliment.
I said anyway. I just want.
I don't know. I think if I was that dude, and what Frank Skinner said to me was, it sounds like a proper song.
No, but
I'm not depressed, but I'm not elated.
No,
Can
well,
you imagine going up to
Can you-
Sting,
yeah.
saying it? That sounds like a
no,
proper
but
song.
no, but Sting is he's a professional. Anyway, this guy, he played. If you play someone your music, you're going to get what you get. So anyway, so I said, right, I'm gonna go now. I said, look, you got a nice, lovely dog, by the way.
Oh, no.
And he said, oh, you like my dog, but you don't like my music. And I said, no, I never said.
But you did, Frank.
I didn't say it.
You
You did.
implied it.
What I should have said was it was a proper dog, like a proper dog, that. Tail, one of those, those noses that are a different colour from the rest of the dog. One of those dogs. Those noses, different. They look they're made from a different fabric to the rest of the dog. Oh, anyway. Look, it was fine, and good luck to him. Who am I? I'm not
What
Mickey.
do you say?
I'm
But
not Mickey Mouse.
Do you think he thought you could somehow give him his big break?
I think he thought I was do you remember Mike? You wouldn't know Mike Mansfield. I'm thinking of these, or Simon Cowell, someone who's got.
Sure.
Yeah.
I haven't got connections in the music
but he
business.
thinks you do.
Well, I suppose you meet someone you recognise on Brigadoon, you take what you can get. He'd have probably said the same thing to Angela Rayner if she'd been on there.
There we go.
Yeah, I think anyone.
You've
But
had a number one single. Twice.
I've had 4.
There you go.
Whoa.
Well, I've had 4 times.
And it was
anyway.
a proper song. It was lovely.
It was. And I like my dog. So I've got everything.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'm sitting opposite you, and we talked about 70s TV. Do you remember the Persuaders? Have you ever heard of that, Sarah?
No.
The Persuaders. This was the premise. There was a sort of streetwise American played by Tony Curtis.
Yes.
Great. Okay.
Called Danny Wilde. And then there was an English aristocrat, Lord Brett Sinclair.
Okay.
Oh, I see where we're going.
I see it. Yeah. I see
Played
it.
by Roger Moore, and it's like I'm just watching that on loop with you.
am I?
two.
Oh, between the two of us.
You are the Persuaders.
Fantastic.
Can I be honest? I'm really chuffed with Roger.
Oh God.
And I'm chuffed with Tony.
Okay.
Oh, Tony, I was in a green room once with Tony Curtis.
Can you share any anecdotes?
How was it?
Anything a little
He had,
juicy?
remember that wig he used to wear that was like, we were talking about people who should live in High Barnet, and he had a wig where it looked like he'd tried
Yes.
4 on in the shop and he'd walked out with all of them stacked. He was toupee stacking.
Yeah.
Is that a thing, really?
And I tell you what it was. He was with this woman who was absolutely like if you had to do an identikit of what a beautiful woman should look like. She was like 6'2", blonde, like, you know, amazing. And I think he didn't like being shorter than her, so he just kept adding the toupees until he because his eye level was at her chin level, but he was the same height as her. It was like being in a green room with a royal guardsman. Anyway, we were talking off air about that phenomenon. I think it was you. Was it you, Sarah, who brought it up, or Emily? Anyway, of when you put your phone down and you think you've switched it off and you haven't, and then you say something. I've spoken to people and they've started talking about their partner or something like that, and just as they start the first sentence, they take their phone out and make sure it's definitely off.
But I was saying, I find it sort of equally terrifying, and also it just lures me in. I can't not listen. I've had a 7-minute voicemail before.
Well, I have.
In which I was discussed.
I have. And
Oh, my God.
I had one and I deleted it.
Yes.
Immediately.
I didn't.
I don't. It's the same as the screen thing in it. I don't want to know. I don't mind people slagging me off as long as they just keep it from me.
Nothing good comes from listening at closed doors. That's so interesting, Emily. Because I'm like you. It's pure fear. Pure fear. I can't imagine anything that won't hurt me won't be said.
Yeah.
But you think there might be a trickle of she is fabulous.
Yeah.
Which, listen, I think is probably what's said about you behind closed doors.
I think it's worth the risk of hearing people say terrible things about me for the potential 1% chance that I might hear something.
Then I think,
that's a great
Frank,
attitude.
you and I are much more vulnerable, I think, and easily influenced by someone else's negativity, whereas there's a core self-belief, Emily, that you have. You know what? I was going to say what my partner knows, Emily, and what we say about you behind closed doors is if we're talking about someone and you're like, they're lovely, we're not talking an Emily Dean level of charisma is a thing. We're not talking Emily Dean level charisma.
That's nice.
Oh,
well,
I'm really happy about
after this break, we're going to get a précis of that 7-minute voice message that Emily received. Looking forward to it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Frank, we've had this in from Murray Bothwell.
Like the sound of that.
So do I. Frank on the radio, I enjoyed seeing
Frank,
you.
I'm actually a character in an Oscar Wilde short story.
I enjoyed seeing you at the Boswell Book Festival and your thoughts on smiling Buddhas, etc.
Oh, yes.
I like his thoughts on smiling Buddhas, etc.
Yes, we won't go. Basically, I think Christianity is missing a trick. Because I was in IKEA and they had a Buddha section in IKEA. I don't know how many Buddhas, but you know, people use Buddhas as sort of garden ornaments, apart from people who are actually Buddhist. And there was smiling Buddhas and there were properly laughing Buddhas. There was reclining Buddhas. And I just said I felt Christianity. I think the crucifixion is It doesn't draw everyone. It doesn't draw in sort of people who are on the fence, if you know what I mean. The way the reclining Buddha.
It's problematic aesthetically, isn't it?
Yes, it doesn't have a casualness the way that the
not the reclining. The reclining Buddha was, he was right down
also
there.
the reclining Buddha can be fashioned in a pink suede, in a gold. Got to be careful with the crucifix.
Yeah,
There was a head of the Buddha as well, and the hair was absolute, like someone who'd really really took care of their hair.
I don't think I've ever paid attention to a Buddha hair before.
Yeah.
Can you
Well,
describe it in more detail?
It was like what they call cornrows. It was that kind of very, very
lovely.
tight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
a tight braid.
Yeah.
He
Whereas
looks so
Jesus
jolly.
is a bit more that guy who was the
Can I be
UK's
honest?
representative in the Eurovision Song Contest.
He's a bit more sort of fashion thin.
Well, don't
to be
get me
honest.
wrong.
Christ's body is fashion thin.
Yeah.
I follow the Nazarene, as you know.
I know.
But I'm just saying, I'm always looking to bring more people in, and I think we need a softer entrance than the crucifixion. And someone said to me, angels, there's your secret weapon.
Oh, or is it cherub?
People
cherub
don't
is
like
not
cherubs.
No,
No, not in the age of child obesity.
No, okay,
That's frowned on.
okay, sure.
But angels, I think people do have like angel cufflinks and an angel on my whatever.
Can I just say Murray has...
Murray's kicked off a whole debate here. Anyway,
Well, Murray has also included a picture of... He's saying this is something I saw in York Minster, which is moving towards the potential you offered on another religion. And it's a beautiful stone statue of what appears to be... What would you say that is? A reclining bishop.
oh yeah.
But what's
Is he
interesting
dead?
is
Is he
Twitter...
as in dead?
Twitter... No.
Okay.
It's more like he's
Is it
watching
reclining?
the television. He's got his hands on his head.
A pensive,
Yeah.
thoughtful.
But it says...
okay.
Twitter has flagged this as potentially sensitive content.
Oh, okay. Maybe it's about religion.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
I mean, there might be people listening to this thinking, I'm all right, I think, so I'm in there. It's my team. But,
Yeah.
It's a lovely statue, though.
yeah, I'll check it out in a minute. As you know, I don't have my screen switched on, so I can't cope with criticism of any kind, just in case anyone forgot that fact. By the way, we were talking about that thing of leaving the phone on accidentally, and someone... If anyone... I don't believe it's ever happened.
What do you mean?
I don't think anyone has ever said anything truly embarrassing or difficult accidentally on a left-on phone they thought was switched off.
Okay.
We will... if anyone has been on either side of that equation...
And emails as well. Don't you think like an email where you're somehow accidentally CC'd into something
Yeah.
about you, or someone hasn't edited out a line regarding you that perhaps they should have done?
Yeah, and I still get charity requests that say things like, Dear Stephen.
Stephen Fry, that was
Do I help them? No.
No, you don't.
Let them burn.
Let that charity suffer.
Okay, so yeah, text or email if you've had an experience like that.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean, and Sara Barron is with us this morning. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the... Sorry, I went sort of all method actor.
It wasn't as though you were trying to remember my name, I felt.
No, I actually know Sarah personally.
This is what I hoped.
Text the show 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram. I was trying to remember my name.
Okay, much better.
Never
much
pick me
better.
up on that. I'm old. I've ruined this. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. And yes, Sara Barron is with us this morning.
Chicago, Chicago, that toddling town.
Wonderful.
You are from Chicago.
Yes, great,
I'm glad I got that.
fantastic.
Can I say about that song, if I was going to write a song about Chicago, obviously I'd be looking for some adjectives for Chicago.
And you're saying toddling wouldn't have been your go-to?
I might have got verse 4. I might have said Chicago, that toddling town, but I don't think I'd have opened with it. I'd have been like fabulous, windy.
Oh, I also said it was
Toddling.
Toddling.
I said it was wonderful town.
No, it's toddling town.
I thought it was toddling. Is it toddling?
Well,
That's
it's,
toddling town.
It's toddling. It would have been with a G, but it's got, that thing like rock and roll.
Yeah, rockin'.
Yeah. Or rocking.
cool.
So toddling, in what way does it toddle?
Toddling town. I do not know the definition of the word toddling.
Well, taking it from a toddler, I think it means to walk shakily.
Wait. It's Todd. I was picturing, probably incorrectly,
Right.
Taudling, a toddling town. But
What
it's
does that mean?
I have no idea. I don't think it's a word. I think it probably is toddling.
I love people that. I mean, I've heard of wrong song lyric things, but never had anyone guessing with words that aren't words.
So
That's brave.
It's Toddling. Toddling
It's
town.
like a toddler.
Toddling. What does that mean?
If
Like,
anyone out there knows why Chicago is a toddling town,
can I make a guess I already don't stand behind?
Go on.
Is it something about like the second city, New York is swaggering.
swaggering town.
And Chicago coming up on it is toddling.
He should have done a series of those ones. El Paso, that rather undernourished town. Yeah, and stuff like that. And done them all. Cleveland, that industrial town. Yeah, I'm just thinking about places I've been.
Listen, you've got another hit in you, Frank.
Yes. We were on, I was on a road trip with Adrian Childs. And
We call it the Wallace and Gromit trip.
and
I do.
and his mate Bryn, my mate now Bryn, who was a Sky Sports News presenter, and we decided, and this is wrong of us, I know, but at the last stop off, we decided we'd go to Hooters.
Give me a year. What year am I in? What year am I in?
Not 5-6 years ago, maybe.
Sorry about that.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
No, maybe longer.
I know.
For a hoot.
Maybe longer.
You're going for a hoot.
Hooters, in case you don't know, it's like, it's not.
I'm going to say
It's not Stringfellows, but it's,
Yeah.
Anyway, we got there and it was an empty, we followed, looked it up on the map, and we got there, it was an empty lot. And it had been blown away by a recent hurricane. It had been completely removed by a hurricane. There was, honestly, there was, you could see the shape. It was like a blueprint. You could see the floor plan.
Oh, my God.
But there was nothing. Well, that's what I was thinking. That was on my book of my list of, yes, maybe he does exist.
Maybe he does.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been talking a bit about unhung up phone calls.
Yes.
Or people leaving, talking about you on voicemails, etc. John Hopkins, who's one of our regulars, Sarah.
Great.
Frank refers to him as...
Well, I always say Hopkins because I saw a one-man play about Gerard Manley Hopkins, who was a poet, in case anyone doesn't know. And it starts with him saying his own name because he quite likes the sound of it.
I mean, it's quite a niche reference.
What a niche reference and a fascinating quality in a person.
Yeah.
Hopkins, he was going. Anyway.
My elderly mother does this on a regular basis when she's juggling being on her mobile to me and the landline to her friend Joan.
Right.
Can I just say, I'm already very into Joan.
Yeah.
I love the sound of Joan.
Yeah, I like the sound of Joan as well.
Anyone called Joan is all right by me. The other week, I clearly heard her say, Jonathan, this is Hopkins, Jonathan started one of his fitness regimes again. It won't last. It gets worse.
Oh,
Do you want to know the killer line?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
He's got his dad's chubby legs.
Oh,
brutal.
Man, that is you don't want to hear that.
Dad's chubby leg.
And there's also, I'll tell you what, there's a sort of a life sentence tone to that.
Yeah.
You do what you like, mate.
Yeah.
But once you've got your dad's chubby legs, you've got them forever.
Them legs are staying.
Can I tell you what I find more damning in some ways than he's got his dad's chubby legs? Sorry, John, if you're at home and this is quite triggering.
Well, he did send it in.
He did send it in. It's your own fault. One of his fitness regimes. Yeah. Come on.
It's not going to possibly work for him.
Sorry, Hopkins.
Sorry, mate.
Yeah. And we've also got some clarification on The Toddle. Have you seen this,
I
Sarah?
have. It turns out I'm 100% wrong, which is not the first time that's happened to me. So to be very, so here we've got it. 813 has written in, "Hey up, you three. Chicago, the Toddling town. In the 30s, Toddling was a slang term used to mean something was hip. Sort of the in thing. So rather than implying a bow-legged baby cautiously making its way around on foot, it has more to do with a James Cagney sort of strut. Andy Wood, Bronte Country, West Yorkshire."
Well, controversially...
Do you know Andy Wood?
No, but thanks for the tip.
Okay.
Controversially, the grifter, he sounds like my kind of man. The Toddle was a style of dancing used, I know, with the jazz music of the 20s when this song was written. It was popular in Chicago. Do you like the way I say Chicago?
I do like it. It's really nice.
Okay. And a variation of the style was even called the Chicago.
The Chicago.
Wow.
I love to learn. I love to learn. I love a little fact.
Well, I never got that when Chicago the musical starts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
fabulous.
she talks about rouging her knees.
Rouge my knee.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Rouge being what we used to call blusher in the old days. So why would you rouge your knees?
And is it rouge in that sense, or does rouge have a different definition?
Oh, I always wondered about
Rouge
that.
my-
Gonna rouge my knees and roll my stockings down.
All right, all
no, you
right.
need to roll your stockings down before you rouge your knees, or you're going to get blusher all
Yeah,
over
why
your
do you want
stocking.
pink knees?
But is it rouge in that sense, or is it something about like glossing? Is it about something that? What can it mean?
You
This
don't
is
want to
another
put
question.
blusher because have they forgot what the special said? Oh no, me no want no more pink knees.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Well, you remember my real childhood fear. You know, you have that, Sarah, the monster you fear when you're younger. Mine was
Okay.
Lou Reed.
Lou Reed was your monster.
That is a great monster.
Terrified of him.
What was so? Can you go back to your childhood self and remember
Yes.
what was doing it to
The cover
you?
of Transformer.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Terrifying.
Yeah, sort of Panda-esque.
I had that with a Kiss cover, I think, like with Gene Simmons and the tongue, and just as a child felt terrified by that visual.
Yeah, and live, I saw them at the Birmingham Odeon, and blood would drip from that massive tongue.
I mean,
But also, they had those tongues of fire, which are very popular now, and I don't think they hadn't quite.
Very popular
the juxtaposition of tongue of fire and very popular now.
I'm on a tongue.
Great.
I'm on a tongue theme. But you know the things that fire up at the front of the stage. Those like big jets of fire. Those. And I'm thinking of tongues of fire. It's my Catholic.
I was
thing,
going to
which-
say, yeah.
Yes, I was thinking of.
I'd like to
The
clear...
apostles. Anyway, so in those days they hadn't quite got the ferocity right. They were stage fire pioneers, and honestly, my eyebrows. I felt my eyebrows
my
start to crackle with their heat. It was real, like it was like hot air balloon. So they're in the middle of I was made for. And it was like, and then all back in the mosh pit. The mosh pit was, we were smouldering.
I love the excitement of slightly amateur pyrotechnics.
Yes.
I'd like to share something with you both. I'd like to clear up rouge my knees.
Oh yes.
Yes.
I do have a bit of a problem with that because rouge my knees, normally when it's sung, it contains my worst thing ever in any sort of song is rouge my knee. When they get a gravelly don't, Sarah, please. I can't bear it.
Is it like the try hardness of it? Is it overperformed?
It also sounds
It's
like
cringy for you, sure.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
it sounds like an
instantly I
exclamation, doesn't it? Sort
Yeah.
of, well, rouge my
Rouge
knees.
I've never noticed that before, and now I see it.
It's whenever people put a gravelly voice on for I can't bear it. Anyway, hey up again. Clara Bow.
This is the same person. It's a musical theatre expert.
Yeah, Andy Wood.
Great.
Okay.
West Yorkshire. Hey Up Again. Clara
Hey
Bow.
Up.
Oh, sorry. I didn't.
Yeah.
I do like that I said, hey up again.
Hey up. I think it's hey up again. He's playing his Bronte.
I said,
and
hey up again.
And you're saying, hey up. Tennis, anyone? So go on, what's the answer?
Great.
Okay, hey up again. Clara Bow, Louise Brooks, etc. used to put rouge on their knees before putting on their stockings in the roaring 20s to make their knees more noticeable as an odd kind of way to accentuate their gams.
Wow.
That is weird.
What's gams? Is that
Legs.
Oh, yeah.
Good gams.
No.
That is, there must be better ways of getting your knees red.
Oh, God.
Some part of me
I was thinking of prayer.
Sorry, Sarah.
Oh, when is he not?
Yeah.
It's a great. They were very, very beautiful women, Clara Bow and Louise Brooks as well.
Frank's got quite niche taste.
Yeah, as Alice Cooper said, I love the dead. We're going to see him this week. Me and my son's going to see Alice Cooper at the O2.
No.
Yeah.
My son is obsessed with him.
You're kidding me. My son is obsessed with him.
Alice Cooper. He's playing in London this week.
Yeah, he's at the O2.
To be continued.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So we're with, as I've said a few times, with Sara Barron this morning. Sarah, what's up, as they used to say?
I'm going to tell you this thing that happened to me this week.
Oh, okay.
And what I want, I like to be very intentional with what I want out of sharing this story with you, is what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
By the
Okay,
time
we
it all wraps
like to
up.
give advice. I'm solicited.
My favorite thing that can ever happen to me is someone being like, listen, I need some advice. And I'm like, oh, yes. Solicited opinions. So what happened was this. And the backstory here is I'm a lady who's desperate to be liked, so I never get into confrontation, but then I walk around with a lot of internal rage.
Love it.
Constant internal anger.
I feel very seen.
Yeah. I've seen you in this capacity as well. And then the other logistic that's important is that I live in a terraced house. We have neighbors who I'm going to refer to as the Joneses, and sort of on the pavement in front of both our houses, but a little more in front of the Joneses, there's a tree on a little patch of gravel.
Yeah.
Right.
Fine. I'm leaving the house the other day, and I sort of in a tizzy trying to get my son to school, and I take a bag of rubbish and I open up the bin, and in my bin someone has put a horrific pillow. Like there's fleas in this pillow. It's got a disgusting masticated fabric. It's grotesque. And I'm like, who put this pillow in my someone put this pillow in my rubbish. I get angry. Forget about it. Fine. Then 2 days later, the exact same thing happens. I have another bag of rubbish. I open my bin, and someone not in my family has put a huge bit of like Deliveroo rubbish in my rubbish.
I really wanted that to be another pillow, a second.
I know, but
And then a quilt the next day.
Yes, exactly.
that would have been the more interesting story.
No, it's still interesting. I'm tense. I'm feeling tense.
Are you feeling
Yeah.
tense? Okay, so what happened was, having spotted the bag of rubbish, the second deposit into my rubbish bin, I have a rage spike, and I just take everything out. And I'm like, in my head, my voice is like, this is not my business. This is not my problem. I go into the brown rubbish bin, and I just put it on the road. But on the little square of land that the tree is in.
Oh, no man's land.
Yeah.
That's how I'm thinking about it in my head.
Neutral. It's like you're putting it in Switzerland.
I've put it in Switzerland.
Yeah.
The next day, raccoons have gotten into it, or a fox or something.
Raccoons?
So it's just,
A raccoon?
That was very American. That was very. I think. Sometimes I've lived here 10 years, but sometimes in Americanism.
What else was there? Coyotes?
There were always raccoons. I lived in New York and Chicago, and constant raccoons, but it must have been a fox.
Yeah.
We get squirrels, just FYI.
No, but it's mainly foxes
It
in
was
the
a
bin.
fox.
Yeah.
It was a fox, but in my heart, it was a raccoon.
I love that.
It was a raccoon in my heart, probably in reality a fox. So it's it's strewn everywhere, and I see this, and I start to feel some guilt. And I start to feel some shame. And I do what I always feel when I feel guilt and shame, which is I have to get it out. So I say to my husband, Jeff, I go, I think I maybe did a bad thing. And I point to it. We leave the house. I was like, that's my fault. Because and I tell him what happened. And he's like, you've basically put all our rubbish in the Joneses' front yard. I said, that's not quite what I did.
No,
he's like,
that's common. He's like, allowing for neutrality.
No. He's seeing it. He's going, it's basically now in their front area. So I then, of course, clean it up. This is all happening in broad daylight. I then clean it up. My question becomes, what I know about the Joneses is they've got security cameras. Did they see the whole thing? Do I apologize and be like, I just want to flag. I didn't have a great moment. Please know that I know it will never happen again. We have a good relationship, these neighbors and I. Or...
Not anymore.
Not anymore, she says. Do I lock it down and pretend the whole thing never happened?
Frank, we want to hear your answer.
We'll discuss this after the break, but I want to be there if you're going to tell them you were looking out your bedroom window that night and you saw raccoons doing it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
I have to say, I feel that Frank and I both like to take any opportunity to sing a little something. And I mean, Frank, I picked up on it in minutes of being sat across from you. And I was like, oh, I like to do that too.
I can't help. Virtually every phrase triggers a song lyric.
Do you feel that there is something deep inside you? You know, you've been around for a while. People know who you are. Is some part of you thinking West End? Frank Skinner, and such starring Frank Skinner. Is that what you're gunning for every time you sing a little note?
I turned down Mr. Cellophane.
Yeah. Did you know that?
In Chicago.
We turned it down. It's one of the greatest tragedies of my life.
I know. And I turned down an operatic role.
But wait. Why would you? Clearly the song is inside you.
I know. I think being in Chicago, the stage show, is a bit like doing Strictly. I think Kath would be DNA testing me when I got in every night.
Fair enough. I'm with Kath on that.
I'm not. I think it's the greatest thing that could to be in Chicago in the West End. No,
yeah, I wasn't prepared
to. She stands alone.
No. I mean, I love it. I love it.
God.
I wasn't prepared to rouge my knees.
You weren't going to rouge them knees.
No, you don't have to. You just have to lean when you're Mr. Cellophane.
So Darius ended up doing it, though.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he did it.
Well, there's been a few.
But you would have been a good Mr. C.
There's been a lot of stunt casting in the stage.
I think Frank does have the potential for musical theatre.
Oh, he bleeds it. There's such a readiness there.
We sound like very pushy talent agents.
I think.
The thing about Frank is he is a wonderful triple threat.
Do you think I'd be more of a, I've grown accustomed to her face?
Yes, you could do I've grown accustomed to her.
When he's going to sing, he's going to sing.
Breathing in.
Like breathing out. And you think he's going to sing, and then he goes, I'm breathing in. And you think, oh, I thought you were going to sing, you cheeky monkey. Okay. So what, the
I
bins?
just would like to share this with you, because it relates to both of you. Ruth Jordan, who's one of our regulars.
Great.
The morning sun shone down upon the eyes of Ruth Jordan.
Close to the surface.
He's doing it again.
Go on.
Ruth Jordan. Sarah's story about her bin problems made me wonder if Frank has resolved the bin issues he was having with his new neighbour, who greeted him with, "We need to talk about your bins." Did he take my advice to borrow the Tipton Slasher's monkey? I know, Sarah, a lot to unpack, but we'll get to it. And put it in the neighbour's bin? That question to Frank Skinner.
Well, I didn't do that.
Okay.
People put animals in bins. It's caught on CCTV and their lives are destroyed.
Next thing you know, there's a raccoon in there.
Poor Mary Bale. Remember Mary Bale who put a cat in a bin? Do you remember that, Sarah?
No, I'm sorry.
It was a scandal about, 10 years ago? Maybe.
Well, I moved 9.5, so just missed this little
You just missed Balegate.
You didn't get bailed.
That neighbour hasn't moved in yet. She was just...
I wonder why that is.
She was just wrecking So I'll tell you what I have done is that when the bin men come and they leave the bins out on the pavement.
Can you briefly tell Sarah what happened?
Well, we can't now, but I'll come back
On
with
the
it.
edge
Exactly.
of my seat.
Coming up later, Frank's bin story.
Yeah, that's what we need, a bin hanger.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute. Is that what I say?
Yes.
Okay, this is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Sara Barron. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. The words became chewing gum towards the end. Absolute Radio.
We left the nation slightly on the edge of their seats because I trailed Frank's bin story,
Yes.
which you were going to share with Sarah.
Yeah, so our new neighbour said that we got too many bins. We'd overbinned the pudding.
And that's a yes or that's a factual
I've never.
thing.
No, it's
It can
an
either you
aesthetic.
do or you
it's
don't.
an aesthetic opinion.
But you do or you don't, right? Like there's a certain number of bins you can have.
Well, I compared it with that moment in Amadeus when
course you did.
the crown prince says, "Too many notes, Mozart." The human ear can only accept so many notes. I'm right, am I not, Salieri? Yes, Your Majesty. And she felt that we had too many bins. We just sort of, I don't know, we'd acquired bins.
What's her tone? Can you do an impression? Can you act her tone right now? How
Well,
it was
the
said.
problem is she's American.
Shoot. Okay.
And what's the...
Do you want to give me a note and I can try and do it? I can be her.
Have you ever heard how... where does it come from originally? That is it your dad used to say it or something, or was it? Yeah.
No, I believe it was how I saw it as sort of characters, posh, nasty English characters in films would say.
Yeah.
When someone from, they would introduce someone who'd come over from the States, and they would say, an American.
So she was that.
Yes.
And I went to her door was ajar, and I thought that she hadn't moved in yet. I thought they'd got squatters or intruders or something. So I went up to and said, when hello becomes. Quite a lot. Hello, like I can phone the police, with this hello. It was like that, and she emerged and she said, "Oh, don't worry, I'm the person moving in." I said, "Oh, hello, welcome," and all that. And I said, "It's a really nice area. If we need to help you with anything," she said, "Yeah, well, there is. We need to talk about your bins." Like third sentence. So I said, "What about them?" And she said, there's too many. She said, I asked the previous lady why you've got so many, and she didn't know either. So already I'm being talked about behind my back. And I said, well, this couldn't have started any worse.
He said that to her face, though.
No.
Listen, I'm 100% on your side and not just to try to make you like me more.
Thanks.
I'm not saying I'm not on his side, but I vomited when he told me that.
That was too much for you.
But anyway, so I haven't seen her since because she
How
hasn't
long ago
actually
was
moved
it?
in. This was like a couple of months
She's
ago.
not going to move in.
She will move in, yeah. And I will still be a good neighbour. I think that's important.
Okay.
But what happens is when the bin men come, they empty bins and they leave them all over the pavement. So hers are all over the pavement. Now, normally with the previous neighbours, I used to put theirs back into place, or they would put mine back into place. But I'm not. These are so loaded, these bins.
Oh my God, you can't
The
do it.
unloaded bins are so loaded, I can't touch them. So they're just around.
How many bins do your other neighbours have?
3.
How many do you have?
I think.
Interesting,
6.
Sarah, that he immediately
6.
knew the
Yeah.
neighbour's bin count and not his own.
Oh, Frank.
You think it is too many bins,
That's ridiculous.
I don't like how she spoke to you,
right?
but I think you might have too many bins.
Can I be honest?
Go on.
I feel I can speak openly now. That I have you here.
Yep.
I have to agree.
I'm here for
6
backup.
is
It's too many.
It's outrageous.
Well, look, I didn't get them. They just arrived. I was given 6 bins by the local council.
Gifted. 6 bins.
They're the
6
bin,
bins.
they're the bin calculators.
It just feels...
I don't do bin maths. There'll be a person at the council who does bin allocation maths. And that's what he's come up with. 6 for me, 3 for them.
Here's the thing. As is often the case with everything in life, everyone has a point. This lady's got a tone issue, and Frank Skinner has too many bins.
There you go, fair summary.
Yeah.
You wait till we get round to your rubbish debate.
Oh, God.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Oh, I'd like to share this from Nick McFerrin.
Okay.
Finding it strangely
Is
surreal.
it Don't Worry?
No.
Yeah, that was Bobby McFerrin, wasn't it?
Oh, it was,
But he has,
wasn't
as
it?
an
Be
avatar,
happy.
he has a little Pac-Man,
Does he really?
which I rather like. Finding it strangely surreal hearing English words like rubbish and pavement uttered by the charming, now I hope you're okay with this, yet American,
Okay.
at Sara Barron.
you know
Sara
what
Barron, how do you feel about that?
I feel fantastic because what it's saying is I had to do a little work to win this guy over.
That's always good,
It's
isn't it?
always positive. He didn't want to like me. He heard the voice. He thought she's going to be a bit much. And I am, but I'm still adorable.
I did a gig once at, I was interviewed at Latitude.
Sure.
And when they went to the Q&A,
oh, yeah.
a woman said, her question was, I used to really not like
Oh,
you.
there we go.
And now I like you a lot. Have you changed or have I?
Do you know what?
What a great question,
What a
then.
great question.
Yeah.
You took me on a roller coaster with that one,
Yeah.
Frank. But in the end, what a great, because
was
there
a
was an
great question.
accountability there.
Yeah.
That saved her likability in the very end. And what was your how did you respond?
Well, I said it was a great question, first of all. And I said it's very hard for me to estimate your change.
Sure.
But I said, I also...
Well, how old was this woman, by the way, when you said that? Because that could have gone one of two ways.
No, well, she might have been at that.
Okay.
She might have been at that. I felt a bit of a Kiss front row. heat storm coming off her at one point. No, she wore dungarees, I remember.
Do you know, I'm really warming to her.
Garish dungarees.
Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, we talked about how as you get into the public eye, that you start bringing up your dials, all of them to 10, not just the ones that is sellable, but all the other things about you all come up to the surface. So when you're first there, you just want to be
Yes.
Jack the Lad football fan, then you
Sure.
think, you know what?
Well, interestingly, I say it's interestingly, you'll be the judge of that. I was staying with a friend in Suffolk. That's not interesting. What is
I like
interesting?
it so far.
Okay. His wife, Georgia, I caught her
Classic.
watching a video on her phone of Frank on Songs of Praise.
Oh, yeah. I think that's had like 18 million hits.
She
Why
ordered the
not
Comedian's Prayer Book by
Wow.
Frank Skinner. So what I love is that my friend Georgia has a very niche interest in you, which is entirely an ecclesiastical one.
Can I say I could see myself. I know that side of you exists, but I don't know that side of you, but I can see myself getting quite into it because I get really I would say almost excited by people I respect, who I consider to be sort of, brains, who are quite religious.
I'm loving this sentence.
Oh
so
yeah,
far.
I mean, it's sincere, and again, always wanting someone to like me. But because I would like to become a bit religious as I get older, because
Really?
as death looms ever more present,
Absolute Radio.
I want to feel the possibilities.
Well, I think you are there. When you said, I'm saying all these nice things because I like people to like me, obviously that does change the whole.
But Frank, it's not insincere.
Okay.
I just have two motives.
But Thomas Hobbes,
I don't know who that is.
yeah, the 18th century philosopher, said that he gave money to poor people because he couldn't cope with the pain he felt about feeling bad that he hadn't given money to poor people. He didn't actually care about them. He cared about him and the way he felt.
Yes, I think I actually probably only care about how I feel.
Yeah, I think that Hobbes would be with you 100.
Okay.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We never got round to... we were asked for advice from Sarah about the raccoon gate. And in case you just tuned in, Sarah found two things in her bin which she didn't put there, and I still find things. I found like a door panel from a car.
Really?
In my bin.
How dare they?
Exactly. Too much. Anyway, Sarah put the stuff, the last lot she found, on a neutral territory in that square that surrounds trees on pavements. And then the raccoons or some other creature got it, and it was all over the neighbour's thing, and she cleaned it up. That's a fair summary.
Yes. Yes.
Should you go round? But do they even know it happened?
They probably do. And the thing, subsequently, since telling the story, I've now been thinking about it more, as tends to happen. And I think there's no way. My fear was because they have a camera. That they would somehow, but they're not watching the footage.
I shouldn't think so.
Like if they saw something was stolen, then you watch the footage.
Can I be honest? I've got some terrible news for you.
Oh God!
I have friends with a lot of CCTV cameras, and they watch the footage endlessly. And so do I.
Wow. What do they do? They sit down at night. So
But this is so interesting.
My pick tonight. Should we say Wednesday between 9:30 and 11 o'clock? You got it.
Rear garden
Wait
door.
a second.
It is my favourite.
Rear garden door.
I am
even.
obsessed by it. Oh, I love it. I'm obsessed by it.
Do you think this is typical of people who have CCTV stuff in their home, or this is unique to your friends in particular?
No, I think we would all do it if
don't-
we had the CCTV.
Let me just.
It's like watching an Andy Warhol movie. Nothing happens.
Oh, that's a bad thing, is it?
I think so. The reason that my neighbors got it, I think, is that there's just a lot of crime on our street. For like we're very near a high street where there's like a lot of bars and stuff, and I just think drunk people are always coming up and down on the weekends, and they got it because like 3 houses on our road were burgled multiple times. Why did your friends
Can I just say
get it?
Sarah's family are at home today?
Yes,
Okay,
they
just
are.
in case, just so
With
that
their,
it's a burglar's
with
guide.
their pit bull terrier.
Oh yeah.
I've got to say, I think it's so entertaining. It's like the Beatles Get Back, or
What?
Big Brother, or just watching the comings and goings.
Do you watch it on fast forward?
No, but I think that's a great idea. Thanks for that tip.
Yeah, top tip.
I will do it. Can I? We've heard from 6.
That's it? Yeah. That's the ending of the watching CCTV.
What else do you want to know? I mean, I have got details.
I don't
What's
think
the
Sarah needs to talk to the neighbours. I
No,
think she
no, no,
did.
no.
Even if
I
they
came to
watched
this
it,
on my own.
they'd have like 10 minutes of saying, look what she's done. She
No.
caused this. And then they would see her cleaning it up and think, you know what, we were wrong about Sarah.
And can you imagine if that was your experience, and then this lady who sounds this way and lives next to you knocks on the door and says, "Hi guys, I just want to like get into a little something to make sure that the air is clear between us." It would be the insult added to the injury of what I already did.
Well, we had a...
And then you'd hear you'd hear the woman saying to her husband, "It's the American."
Yes. Well, I had a debate about if you ran over the neighbour's cat, what would you do about it? Would you just...
Well, Frank, we know you and your little pure heart. You'd have to be honest.
My idea was to go around, knock on the door and open with, you know that 9 lives thing?
Oh, God.
That's so great.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
601. Morning, team. I'm wondering if perhaps the neighbours secretly have bin envy. Are you being shown favouritism here? Now, I don't know if he's suggesting, or she's, sorry, that this is a celebrity-based thing. But
Yeah.
I'll continue. While 6 bins is overkill, and possibly unsightly,
Yeah.
they went unsightly.
They've gone that far.
Might it be the principle of the matter here? Oh, I love it when people say that, because you know what? It never is the principle.
No.
Why should you get 6 bins when they have to make do with 3?
'Cause they're new.
Wait, it's a good payoff that you're lying.
Okay.
I think they're just jealous.
But they're new. They'll get 6 bins if they hang around as long as I
don't
have.
think it's jealousy. I think she finds your bins unsightly.
Why didn't she mention my 6 cars?
You don't have 6.
What if I had 6 kids? What would I expect from her then?
Yeah. What if you had a
Do you
6-pack?
need that many kids?
You have got a six-pack.
I haven't got a six-pack. There's one in there
You're
somewhere.
very trim.
Oh, he's lovely.
He's so trim.
Do you know, he's always kept his figure.
He has always kept his
Don't you think?
figure.
Yeah.
Please.
Yes.
Please. Can I tell you something? I was talking about my trip to Ayrshire, to the Boswell Book Festival. At the end of it, I was me and Denise Miner, who I met TV things with, who's a very fabulous person. We did a sort of session together. It was the last session of the festival, and the penultimate one was Martin Jarvis and Rosalind Ayres, who are actors. So there was just us left. Everyone else had gone home. So it was like the people who worked on the thing and us four. And we sat in this baronial hall. Have you got a baronial hall, Sarah?
I'm sad to say I don't.
I just told comedy anecdotes, and Martin and Ross told theatrical anecdotes, and no one else spoke. It was like a sort of rap battle for the elderly. So Ross would say, well, I was directed by Laurence Olivier.
Oh,
and
lovely.
I'd say, well...
Oh, my God.
Yes. I was doing a gig at Battersea Power Station. It was all like that. And it was
I love
great.
it.
Do you think you won?
You know what? I'm not sure I did. Can you
Okay.
be? When
No,
I
you
was
probably
directed by Laurence
No, you probably
Olivier,
can't.
that's really right up there.
That's good, isn't
But
it?
it was joyous, but no one else spoke, and we should have said, anyway, we're talking too much, but I don't think the thought crossed any of our minds.
Fair enough.
It was brilliant.
I met Bonnie Langford, who I love.
Whee.
You'll like him. Her?
Yes.
You'll be a fan of hers because Frank likes Doctor Who, Sarah. Do you know about this?
That Frank has a Doctor Who. Can I say obsession? Is it an obsession?
Yeah, it's an obsession.
Okay, yeah.
It is an obsession.
Yes. And she was a companion.
To two
Yes.
doctors.
Yes.
But she did one of the best theatrical anecdotes ever. She said to me, well, I got a terrible review when I was 7 from Noel Coward Darling.
I mean, that's good. But I don't know if it's up there with Emily's own childhood tantrum. I don't want to go to Doris Lessing's house.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
We've been talking about bins and CCTV.
Oh, haven't we, though?
It's all getting very sponsored by the council this
Yeah.
week. Ultra Magnus has got in touch. He's one of our regulars. Sarah.
He's been hanging around this week, just caught us at the last second.
Yeah. Some CCTV cameras record highlights that make notes of when there's movement on the camera. Oh. Okay? It's a bit like Match of the Day.
Why do
Don't
they
you
do
feel
that?
that anyone who would get CCTV cameras in their house to begin with would then, if they know that exists, would just immediately defer to that method?
Well, listen to this, Sarah.
It depends. It depends whether you like the test match or the one-day game. Okay. Some nights you might say, you know what, I don't have much in me tonight. Can we watch the CCTV highlights package instead of the?
You know what? I just want to see the raccoon appearances.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
It. So listen to this.
You can put that in raccoon only, and you just get that.
Oh, yeah, I do Google searches all the time for that. So you get the bits where Sarah is fly tipping, but not endless hours of just motionless street view.
Dream.
So,
I would like that for my 50th birthday.
Well, I have to say, we get random bin things, people putting stuff in the bins.
What is going on?
If you had CCTV, you could solve that in a short period of time.
But the thing is that it's a person having a strange moment. It's not going to be your neighbor. It's going to be somebody you've never seen before.
can I just say something? You know, you just said you wanted that for your birthday.
Yeah.
Sarah told me off air a brilliant thing she got for her birthday from her husband. Her husband got her a stylist for her birthday.
There's a
How do you
criticism
feel
nestled
about
in there
that?
somewhere.
How do you feel about that, Frank Skinner, if you got that for Kath?
I don't know if I'd have the courage to get that for
Yeah.
Kath. I interviewed Kenny Rogers once.
Oh.
Do you know Kenny Rogers?
No, but thanks for the tip.
And he used to buy... he said for Christmas and birthday he would buy friends, wait for it, liposuction vouchers.
No.
Yeah. liposuction vouchers so that they can get fat removed.
Oh
free.
my God.
Oh, Katy Perry buys her friends therapy.
How nice.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I need to buy my friends therapy.
Whatever therapist allows that
The voucher system.
voucher is null and void as a decent therapist, right?
Do you have to tell them up front you've got the voucher so they don't put it into their ledger?
I think it's more a therapeutic retreat she gifts them.
I think therapy voucher. I mean, I've never had a voucher in does it come in guineas? I always imagine therapists charging guineas, but maybe that's incorrect. I don't know.
Kenny Rogers, though, the liposuction.
I mean, that is... And I said, aren't you worried you'll offend them? He said, man, I get liposuction all the time. It's great.
Yeah.
He said, I like to just eat what I want.
Oh, my
and
God.
then I go... he's dead now, Kenny Rogers.
I was going to say what I've heard about that is that if you start getting real into the lipo, but the diet and exercise doesn't sort of complement that thing, that what happens is, like, let's say you suck all this fat out of your belly, it then like starts growing up out of your back. Like it needs to find a place to go.
Well, I think he's now on sale at the Country Western Museum in the form of candles.
A Kenny Rogers candle
made from his
liposuctioned fat.
Anyway, we can't end like this with people about to have their lunch. Look, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Oh my God, a pleasure. Thank you guys for having me.
It's been a joy, and I think if the neighbours have heard this, you might have had an extra bonding thing you might not have anticipated.
Do you know what they'll say? They'll say, I'm warming to the American.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you as well, Emily. But, you're here every week, so I can't be thanking you.
I'm a comfortable old pair of slippers.
Exactly. It's a bit like that, and so am I. Thank you so much for listening to us. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now, get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.